All right, people. Here's a short instruction on how you can add some canvas planes of your design ideas, your sketches into Alias and use that as a background. I know we've covered that in earlier on in the course, but here's how you do it, how you import the. So I have here Anders two ideas of his wall charger, one front view and one side view, which is usually enough for us to set up an environment to do the modeling in. So we are going to import these two images into Alias and also scale them correctly to the correct size so we get the proportions right. So if I move out to the perspective view here, and I'm going to use the YZ as my front view, uh, similar to a wall. So I'm going to press F6, I believe. Yeah, to do so. And simply go File, Import Canvas, and click on the image I want to add to the front view. Go click on that, and I instantly get an image plane. Now, an image plane can be treated as any other object in Alias, so you can pick it, of course, and also transform it in different ways. You can rotate it, you can move it, you can scale it. And this seems to be awfully large at this point, so we are going to need to scale it down to the size we want. But I'm going to start by moving it to a point where this becomes the center of this image, this center hole right here. So I go pick object, which I just did, and then move. And then I can move this around freely. And what I want to do is to center it to a known point just about here. Okay. Now I know for a fact that the distance or the diameter of this connector is 100 millimeters. So I'm going to draw a line, a horizontal line here. I think I have some trash left there. So I'm going to draw a line using curves, use V curve, snap it to the origo using Alt, and then my middle mouse button to extend it slightly like that. Now I want this line to be 50 millimeters long, and it's going to be our reference to scale the image. So if I go information window, that can be found under Windows also, information window right here, and then get some info on that little curve I just drew. And it says right here, position 163, 0, 0. I'm gonna change that value to 50. Then our line here becomes 50 millimeters long, right? That's our reference. Now we can start working with the image plane, pick nothing, and pick the image plane, pick object. And we notice now that the pivot point of the image plane is located here. We want that to be in Origo as well. So I go set pivot, and then I type in, I need to change that from relative to absolute. So I go A, 0, 0, 0. And that places the pivot point right at this origo right here. If we now start scaling our image plane, you see that it scales around just this point here. So if I temporarily shut off the grid and zoom in, we want to scale this image plane down to a point where we know is 50 millimeters, which would be the radius of this circle right here. So let's put it there. Now we have the correct size for the first image plane here, and we will be able to get the proportions right. Next, if we turn on the grid again and go out to the perspective view, you can see this image plane right here, and you can also play around with it by picking it and set the transparency of this image. Sometimes you need it to be very, very clear. So if we go canvases and transparency right here, bring that down, we get a very clear image, although it may be hard to see through. Sometimes you want to focus on what you're doing and bring up the transparency of the canvas and just have a ghost image of the image plane. Also, it's recommended to put the image plane in layers. So this would be our front image, oh, not image plane, sorry, it's canvas plane. So layers, new layer, so we can call this front canvas, for instance. Then we pick it and go assign objects. Now we can turn this on or off, like so. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to place a bounding box around this geometry right here in order to what is it called? Localize the second image and scale it properly as well. So I'm gonna draw a cube right here in Origo as well. So I go surfaces, primitives, and cube. And I type in 0, 0, 0, and go enter. There's our cube right there. Now we need to scale this cube to resemble this height and width of the wall charger here. So I'm going to go to our front view, like so, using F6, I believe it was, and start scaling and moving this cube around. So if I go scale and hit the right mouse button, I restrict the scaling to be up and down. But I also need to move it, restrict the movement to upwards. And I try to get as much air here as I get there, because when I then scale it once more, it will have the same height as my image. And I can then scale it in the X direction using the middle mouse button. And as you can see, this sketch is not perfectly symmetrical, so we're gonna have to make some kind of compromise here. So we move it slightly to the side, perhaps scale it down a bit. And once again, move it, something like that. And if we go back to the perspective view, we can see it here. So now we have the height and the width of our charger correct. Now we need to decide what thickness should the charger have. So let's bring our next image into the YZ plane, which is located the F7 button right here. And we once again go File, Import, Canvas, and we import the side view image. And as you can see, it's pretty large as well. And it's very transparent also. So I'm gonna start by bringing down the transparency of this canvas plane so we can actually see what's on the sketch. We could even take away the grid. Now the height of my bounding box here, the cube I just drew, should be the same height as my sketch right here. So let's start scaling that down roughly to begin with. Maybe something like that. And then start moving it into place. And we see that we need to scale it up in order to fill our cube. We move it down. Well, something like that. We could probably scale it up a little bit more. So now it ends right here and up here at the top. It looks about right. And now we get the proper proportions of the side view as well. And if we want to, we can scale our bounding box in the Y direction using our middle mouse button, and we can probably move that slightly as well. Scale that one up. So if we go to the perspective view now, we have two views of our wall charger that can be used. And I strongly suggest that you put them in different layers. So we had the front canvas, and let's create another new layer, side canvas, and put that one, the side view, into that layer. Now we can turn that on and off as well. And if you want to keep your bounding box, we can put that in a separate layer as well. It's a new layer, B-box, like so, and pick object, and pick the box, and assign it, so we can turn that off as well. So now you can get started with your design work, and in this case, I would probably start with a front view like so, and start sketching my curves to capture this shape right here. Don't forget to use oversized surfaces and the holistic approach to modeling here. Keep the degrees of the curves and surfaces low, and you'll do great. So thank you for listening.